people don't think of nonprofits as small business, but if you are a nonprofit that is effective, like you are running that like a business.
Exactly.
And so the growth of nonprofits also creates jobs.
Hey, what's up, Brandon?
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you.
Man, this is a beautiful space.
That's what's up.
We here now.
Yeah. So this is our business center.
Okay.
This is where we do a lot of all of like the technical assistance and all of that. So we do grants, and I think I mentioned that we was getting so many grant applications that we couldn't help everybody. So the business center provides
more resources.
Business coaching, accounting, marketing, legal, all those resources to all the businesses.
With the business on the wall, where are these from?
Yep. So you see all of these are local Black-owned artists, and they're all for sale. And so as a nonprofit, it helps us keep our costs down and also helps us get the word out.
Yep. So you guys have on the whole building. You guys are here in the whole building, right?
So the building is 15,000 square feet.
Okay.
So we have the top floor. So we got the top 7,500.
Okay.
And then downstairs is another 7,500 that we haven't moved into yet.
Wow, man. Each time I drive by and I'm like, look, it's still here. I'm like, yes. Let's go.
We ain't going nowhere.
It's so
we ain't
exciting
going nowhere.
to see
And so,
this.
so you see right there when you walk in the door, you're hit with the 15,000 people donated $10 a month.
Division,
it's our mantra. It's how we got started and going.
So show me more of the space that you got here. Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
See you. What up, man?
See you, B?
Yeah. So you know Dontavius, he's owner of Equal Minded Cafe, one of our $30,000 grant recipients.
You know what's interesting? I was at Equal Minded Cafe. Was that last 2 weeks with Naeem?
Yeah.
I was there. We did a whole shoot there. Wow, it all comes around.
Yeah.
Naeem is my guy. We were there. I grabbed that. I was like, yo. And the guy was like, yo, I'm gonna grab a muffin. And they thought I was joking. And after the show, I was like, yo, give me that muffin. I need it. I ain't playing around. So, man, amazing work, man. Equal Minded Cafe, man. That's the joint right there. The coffee at Equal Minded Cafe. We already have an episode on that, so you already know. Pull up there.
Yeah.
But good to see you, man. Good to see you for sure. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, bro, you got me on chai. Everywhere I go, I'm like, hey, y'all
Hey, what's up, good people? Welcome to the City Entrepreneur Show, a talk show that highlights up-and-coming local leaders and partners who dare to take a chance on their vision, even when odds are set against them. I'm your host, People. As you know, we're out here trying to make sure that we get our entrepreneurs, put them on the spot, and be able to highlight their stories. And today, man, as usual, I bring the best of Casey. The guy I'm about to bring on today, I see he is a celebrity nonprofit founder in Kansas City. He has been featured on the Kansas Business Journal, Saltland News. He has also been featured on the Pitch, and KCB 5 to about 41. So I'm excited to have you here today. It's gonna be an incredible show. Please help me welcome one and only Brandon Calloway. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
I like your match. You're matching.
Hey, man, I was just trying, man. I'm just trying.
I like the fit, though. You can be cozy, a little, How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
How's your day going so far?
So far, so good, man. Got a whole lot of irons in the fire, but
yeah,
getting it going.
Yeah, a whole lot of irons in the fire. I like when people, put those words out there.
Yeah.
Man, how's your day been so far, man? The weather is nice out, in case you never know what's gonna happen, but today we have the sun out.
Yeah. It's always a little up and down.
We had the rain.
Yeah,
sun,
it was
rain,
raining
sun.
and now it's sunny. And
You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
You
really.
never know. You put a raincoat on or
we're supposed to be doing this little Easter egg hunt tonight.
Yes.
And so we hope it
it's
doesn't
gonna
get
be clear weather. You never know.
Right.
But man, thank you for coming on the show. It's an honor to have you here. But for those who don't know who Brandon Calloway is, give them a bit of a background of where it started for you. How did you get to where you are today?
How I got to where I
First of all, are you from Kansas City?
I am from Kansas City. So born and raised. Well, I was born in Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay.
Moved to KCMO when I think I was 7. And so graduated from Paseo High School. Went to the Army for a little bit.
Thank you for your service. How was that?
It was all right. It was cool. I did medical nutrition.
Okay.
In the Army. And so it's definitely an experience.
Yeah.
learned a lot. I felt like I was a pretty disciplined kid before I went in. And so kind of just doubled down on that. But yeah. So I was in the Army for a little bit, then got out of the Army, finished up school at Avila, and I got my degree there, and then so I got my degree in fitness, and went into it. So I was in fitness for about 10 years.
10 years, dang, okay.
And then
why fitness? So why did you get into fitness?
So when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, I was the little fat kid in middle school, and so long story short, when I got to high school, I started playing football. I wasn't my freshman year. I wasn't that great of a football player. And when I first came in, I wasn't that great of a football player. But I was committed, and by the end of the year, I ended up being, I was our middle linebacker. I was our captain of our defense.
Wow. Okay.
And then, and so that summer, I got introduced into the weight room by my football coach.
Okay. Sweet.
And so, that whole summer it was just me and another one of my friends. We were in the weight room every day.
Wow.
So I would wake up at 4 a.m.
Dang.
Catch the truce bus up to school to get there by 6 a.m. Lift weights from 6 to 7, and then and get ready to go to class at 7. So we did that.
Wow.
The entire off season of football, and then came back. I came back my sophomore year.
Yeah.
I was one of our starting varsity outside linebackers.
Damn. Okay.
And so fitness, like the weight room and football and fitness and all of that, was a huge part of my life in high school and I grew up in the hood, right? And so I wanted to what I do now is in nonprofit and like community change.
Exactly. Yes.
But I've been thinking about it literally forever.
Before.
And so back then I was thinking, what is it about the Rockhurst University? Like what is it about the Ray Packs? Like what is it about those schools that allow them to go to state championships year over year? And we were playing out of town schools and getting slaughtered. And so a buddy of mine went on to play college football, and I told him, I said, I am going to learn every single thing that those NFL strength and conditioning coaches know, and I'm going to use all that information and help get you to the NFL.
Wow.
And so my while I was in school, I got my personal training certification immediately after high school, and then I became a personal trainer, or I became a strength and conditioning coach for Northeast High School.
Okay.
So when I was 19, I was there.
19. Wow.
Yeah, I was a strength and conditioning. It was funny because the players were 18 years old, so I just didn't tell them how old I was. And so I was an offensive line, defensive line, running back.
Hopefully your mom didn't come and pick you up after that. Did your mom pick you up ever?
No.
It's like, no, man. Catch me outside, mom. Don't come here.
No. I've had my own car since I was 16.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
So no. But yeah, I was a strength and conditioning coach, offensive line coach, defensive line coach, running back coach. It was pretty funny.
And they didn't know. They was like,
no.
You pull up, like, had the confidence. Showed up.
I knew football too. And so, but my point is that I took that job with the goal of getting inner city kids college scholarships, not so they can go on and play in an NFL, but so that they can have access to higher education.
Exactly.
And so that was my drive and motivator in fitness. And so even after that first personal training certification, I didn't stop there because I wanted to learn like I wanted to do what I said, right? Learn every single thing I could about fitness.
Yes.
And so I got corrective exercise and sports performance and all of that, all of those certifications, so that we help those kids get to higher education. So that was my purpose for getting into fitness and getting it. So I ended up with my degree in exercise physiology and all of that. That purpose was so that I could then use that knowledge to be a catalyst for for the kids for the older kids in the community, because a lot of people focus on the 3-year-olds and the 5-year-olds and the 7-year-olds, because if you get them there and you start there, then obviously you set them up for success. But the 13, 15, and 17-year-olds, we can't throw our hands up and say forget about them. And so yeah, that was my purpose in getting into that. And it's actually the same. It's the same purpose I have now. Yeah.
So you would say probably like you have always been a person who wants to give back to the community in one way or the other. Like, what can I do to elevate the status of everyone around me?
Right. And I don't know. I don't necessarily. If you would have asked me back then, I wouldn't have said that I'm trying to give back to the community. I'm trying to do. I was just trying to do my part in helping the community grow to the level that it is capable of growing to.
Yes.
And that that it deserved to be at.
Like basically not letting potential waste.
Right. Exactly.
What can we do to have that potential to get to where it needs to be at?
Exactly. Not just sitting around and complaining about how things are, but using the knowledge and the skills that I have to get things to be where they should.
Actually doing something about it. So now tell me, what was the shift? Have you always been an entrepreneur? Like after you what is the shift to going, from being a trainer to becoming a founder of a nonprofit? Like what was that shift?
Yeah. I don't know. I've always been a little arrogant, right? So even so, while I was doing the strength and conditioning thing, I launched my own personal training business, and I was a certified trainer for like 2 months.
You jumped into it.
Yeah, so literally, like while I was in school, before I had even took the certification course, the certification test, I went and I set up a table at some pop-up event before pop-ups were even a big thing. I went and I set up a table, and I got everybody at the event together, and we did a little group exercise demonstration, and I got my first paying client that day.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial thing, but I also worked at so I did it on my own for a little bit, worked at big gyms, step out and would do it, give it another shot, do it on my own again, and then somewhere in between that was the Army and the degree and all of that, and so by the time I graduated and because I'm after high school, worked for a little bit, got my certification, went to the Army, came back from the Army, then actually got my degree. And so by the time I got my degree, I'd already been working in the personal training field for years, and I had already been certified. And so the degree just it helped to elevate me, a little more. But I eventually reached a point in my fitness career where I worked at a big gym, and then I ended up training the trainers at the gym, and then I ended up running small personal training studios. And so one of my last fitness roles, literally my last job in the fitness industry, a guy, he had a little boot camp fitness studio, and he wasn't a fitness guy, he was just a business guy, and he liked working out, and so he owned his own gym. And so he wanted to step away because he had a full-time job, and so he brought me on to just run the gym for him. And And so I did I was doing all the sales, all the business partnerships. I was writing the workouts, but I wasn't really training the people, all the hiring, firing, all of that. I ran the gym. But remember, I started this to get these skills to get kids to college. And so at that point, I was far away. And so because I was that first training job at Northeast High School. I was in Leawood, running this gym.
Wow! All the way on the other side of town.
Exactly. So nowhere near the kids that I was trying to help. Nowhere near the population that I was trying to be of service to, and wasn't having any impact on the community because I wasn't in the community anymore. And so I quit. I stepped away completely from the fitness industry. I took a $12 an hour job at United Way, temporary job at United Way. Yeah. Because I thought my thought was that my skills in fundraising or my skills in sales and business would lend itself well to nonprofit. And it was funny, actually. United Way told me no, and they didn't give me a job at first. And then I made a few phone calls to people that didn't know me, and I introduced myself to a few people, and ended up getting. And then they got me a job at United Way, and I turned that temporary job into a full-time job. And
how did you even make those calls? What were those calls like? What were those calls exactly you made?
Yeah.
You don't need to say names, but like what would...
No, so there was... It's funny. There was one, it's funny because we're actually, we're really good friends now. But there's a nonprofit called Urban Inner City Services, or United Inner City Services. And I found their head of development, and I called him and said, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I'm trying to get in a nonprofit. I would love to come work for you. He told me no. He said, you don't have any nonprofit experience. And he critiqued my whole resume. And I said, cool. And then I took those critiques and I went back and I changed up my resume. And then I don't know what I did to give me the idea that I could then go back to him. But I called him back and I said, hey, I fixed all these things. And he told me no again. Damn. And I was like, but he stayed on the phone and gave me all kinds of critiques. And I hit up a random person from Operation Breakthrough, went through that exact same process, and they told me no. And then, and so I sat back and I assessed. I said, okay, I graduated from Avila. Avila has a fundraising department. I'm trying to get into fundraising. And so I sent a message to Avila's head of fundraising. He wasn't even at Avila when I graduated, but he's a fundraiser. So his job is to reach out to alumni and get money. And so he couldn't, if I asked him for a meeting, he couldn't tell me no because I am the population that he's trying to raise money from. So he couldn't tell me no. And so I reached out to him. We had a meeting. I told him what I was trying to do, and I asked him, can you help me do this? And because he needs to build a relationship with me, he couldn't tell me no. And he worked at United Way. His previous job was United Way, and so he called United Way, and he got me a job there. And so none of these people were connections that so all three of them are connections that I still have to this day. Even the United Way or the Operation Breakthrough person that told me no, when I got on to United Way, the job that I took, I became her primary contact at United Way. Wow. And so the United Inner City Services, I was his primary contact at United Way. And so, I didn't hold anything against them for telling me no. They gave me valuable valuable advice. And so now all three of the guy from Avila who's no longer at Avila, and then the guy from United Inner City Services who's no longer there, and the lady from Operation Breakthrough who's no longer at Operation. I still have relationships with all three of them. And those just came from, this is what I want to make happen. let's figure out a way to make it happen.
I gotta ask you this though, because all through your story you've been telling me, I kind of sense this ability to say, I'm gonna do something and have a confidence. I don't know where you got the confidence from, but I really want to know, where does that confidence come from? Say, I'm gonna go do it, and I'm just gonna go figure it out.
Yeah.
So some people just like it didn't work out. Yeah, let me go find something. Like how? Yeah, where did that come from?
I grew up rough, and you know, so I mean, I lived in a house that often didn't have lights, gas, and water all at the same time. You know, my parents are human, and they've had a whole lot of challenges, right? Alcohol, like just a whole lot of challenges, and so you know, it has been my nature that, you know, if I want to make something, if I want something to happen, I have to be the catalyst to make it happen. And if I am not the catalyst to make it happen, then it likely won't happen. And so, you know, even that was one of the lessons that I learned in the Army. In the Army, you think that a lot of things are, like, the Army has a reputation for being highly structured, and then you get there and you want, you know, I wanted to move from the reserves to, you know, active duty Army, and there was some real, honestly, some pretty simple paperwork to make it happen, and you know, I sent the paperwork up the pipeline and waited and waited and waited, and nothing happened. And then when I took the process into my own hands and went directly to the people who I was waiting on my leaders to go to, I got all signatures that I needed and got it done within, you know, probably a month. And so it has been my experience through my childhood, through my early professional career, that if I want to make, if I want a specific outcome from something, then I have to be willing to, you know, do the groundwork, to reach out and to make the effort to make things come to fruition.
Yeah, so it's like you are the best advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're the only person that can actually go and represent yourself. Because, you know, people might say, I'm going to do it, but most times if it's not in their best interest, they might not have the willpower to go and do it for you. Yeah.
But also, I didn't, the other thing in that is that I didn't do it alone, right? I went to United Way, and they told me no, right? I figured out a way to go to a third party who could then go to United Way and advocate on my behalf. And so there's a combination of, or maybe just a like being realistic, and that one, I have to be the one to make this stuff happen.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that
you're alone in it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can't be alone in it. And so you know, I left a job or in a career. When I left fitness, coincidentally, another personal training studio called me, and they said, hey, one of our trainers left. They have, you know, they had about 15 clients. And so it was a full, like, normally when you go onto a new, as a trainer, you go onto a new place, like a trainer is, even when you're working at a gym, it's still like being your own business.
Yeah, because you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, and so you got to go out and you got to do all of the sales. And so this was like the holy grail, because a trainer had left.
You already have 15 people with it.
And so they called me because, you know, they had my resume. I'd been in, you know, training for a while. I had a bunch of high level certifications. I knew what I was doing. And so they were like, you can come in and take all of this trainer's clients. And it was baseline $65,000.
Wow. Okay.
And
just kind of into it.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, with still the ability to bring on more
people. Yeah. That's not a bad start.
And I
Any
said
day at a
no.
time.
And I said no.
Wow.
Because I had decided to leave fitness.
Wow.
And
that's not the type of temptation that wants to get you.
And I called my wife and I told her, you know,
what'd she say?
She supported me.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
And so while I had to be the one to make this happen, you know, if I hadn't had a wife that said, yeah, sure, take this $12 an hour job and don't worry about that $65,000. Don't worry about that they just you know. So there's a lot of additional things that went into that.
We're gonna get to the gift, but I feel like, you know, like what you're saying, with your, you know, your family, your wife especially has to be someone who's on board with you in taking those crazy risks as entrepreneurs, because we take the craziest risks. Like, you know, we have the biggest payday, but like, no, we don't want that. We have a lesser payday, but it's going to build in the future. You have to have someone who's like, you know what, I'll ride with you because it's going to be rocky, but on the other side, it's going to be better, right?
Yep.
Don't even know if it's going to be better because you never know if it's going to work out. You never know. But let's fast forward to Gift, right? How did that start?
Yeah, so I was at United Way. Okay. So I started at United Way in August of 2018. And so one of my goals there was just learn the nonprofit industry. So I've been in fitness, new sales, new business, and so just what my expectations were, what my preconceptions were about nonprofit. This was my time to learn it, and so I was at United Way making, you know, the connections and learning the things that I need to learn about the nonprofit industry, and then COVID hit, and so everybody went home for a little bit, and so I'm at home doing absolutely nothing, right? So, and so I'm in this group on Facebook, BOBKC. And so I have two other co-founders, and so Cornell Gorman, you know Cornell, and then Chris Stewart is a co-founder who he lives in Houston, but he's from Kansas City, and so he made a post in that group back in 2020 talking about how he was frustrated in not seeing Black businesses and Black communities, and he was like, there's 15,000 of us right here in this Facebook group. If we all put in $10 a month, we can take that money, we can grow Black businesses ourselves. We ain't got to wait on anything.
True.
So I sat there. So I'm literally just scrolling through Facebook. I see this post. I'm like, okay. I didn't know Chris. We weren't like, I didn't know him at all. He was just some random.
Someone in the group.
Yeah, some random dude in this Facebook group. And so I sat there for an hour, thinking of all of the ways that this would not work. And I came up with solutions to each one of those.
How it works.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so at the end of that hour, kind of going back to what I said, like I felt like I had skills that could actually make this a thing. And so not even about giving back, just about doing my part to you know, bring the community up to the level that it deserved to be at. And so I at the end of that hour, when I ran out of ways it wouldn't work, I felt like I didn't really have an option other than to reach out and say, hey, let's do this. And so I did, and he ignored me the first time because I'm some random dude on Facebook.
I don't know you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I messaged him again and said, hey, like, we can really do this.
Yeah.
And he responded to me, and him and Cornell went to high school together, and so he got and Cornell was like, Cornell taught himself marketing. So he taught himself photography, videography, website development, marketing strategy, all of that.
Wow.
And so he pulled Cornell in. The three of us got together, and we spent a week talking, and then we just built it. We just did it. So April 30th was his Facebook post, April 30th of 2020.
Okay.
And then May 2nd was our first conversation. May 5th, I filed all of our paperwork and got us got us going. And so we built Gift. Obviously, you know, the original Facebook post was about you know, if we all gave $10 a month. It's $150,000. We can give that out every month. It was like, okay, but so we I filed the paperwork. I got our fundraising software. Did all of that, and then we went back to that Facebook group and we got $60.
Wow.
Yeah.
15,000 people.
Yeah, exactly. Because people are much more excited about the idea of anything. But when it came to like, okay, cool, let's do this, that was a whole different story, which we knew it would be.
Why do you think that is?
Ideas are much more exciting than, the actual work that it would take to do something. And there's the inevitable,
that it might fail.
And if all 15,000 people gave $10, not all 15,000 people would benefit, right? Because we're talking about $150,000 a month to one different thing. So that's in a year, that's just 12 people. And so there, there's that. I think there's a bunch of reasons as to why people, and then new things, right? Yeah. Not everybody's an early adapter. So we went back to the group. We got the $60.
Capital.
For real. And then and so we had to do a couple of things. One, we had to figure out okay, what is this really going to look like? Because it's not going to look like $150,000 a month going out to black businesses. We ain't got no money. And then how are we going to, no matter what, this whole thing was about giving out grant money or giving out money. So even when we do get money, I can't imagine we will get $1.8 million just like that. So when we do get money, how much are we going to get out and how are we going to do that? And so I did a couple of things. One, I called black-owned businesses. I just cold called them and said, "Hey, we're creating this new organization. We're going to be giving out grant money to black businesses. If we were to give you money, what would you need? How much money would you need? What would you use it for? How many jobs do you think you would create? Other than money, what else do you need?"
That's a good call. I make my call all the time. People always calling me trying to get money from me. Trying to give me money?
So a lot of people hung up in my face. Really? Because they was like, if I call you and say, "Yeah, man, I'm trying to give you some free money. How you want to use it?" You're like, "Okay, I don't have time for this right now." Play with me. Somebody said, "No, thank you." And then I remember that phone call specifically. But a lot of people stood on like your original response was they stayed on the phone and they was like, "Man, I would do this and this and this and this and this." And so we give out what we found was that some people had needs of like $10,000 or below. Okay. Some people had needs of about $50,000 or above, but most people had needs between the $20,000 to $30,000 range. And so now you notice we give out $10,000, $25,000, and $50,000 grants. Okay. And so that came directly from that outreach to those people. I asked, other than money, what else do you think, what else would you need? They said, so the top two things they said was marketing and accounting. And then they said legal and business coaching. And so if you notice, every time we give a grant to somebody, we give them a year's worth of accounting. We give them a marketing package. We give them a year's worth of business coaching. And then we're partnered with Hush Blackwell, so they take them on for legal services. That came from the feedback that we got from.
So it's a whole package, not a one and done.
Yeah. And so literally just from calling the people who are going to be on the receiving end of our program and saying, "Hey, we're going to build this program for you. What would be helpful for you?" And so that was one of the things I did. The other thing that I did was because I went to college after the Army, I was older than most of my classmates. And so my friends from college are my professors because I was closer with them than I was with the kids of the other.
It's like the flip when you were back in high school when you were 19. Now it's like okay. Got you. Okay.
So I called one of my old college professors and we got on Zoom and I told her what we were trying to do, and she donated $100. And then I called another one and did the same thing, and they donated $100. And then Cornell. So while I was doing all of that, Cornell was building our social page, or social pages, our website, like our logo, and our messaging to take our, if 15,000 people donate $10 a month, beyond that Facebook group. And so we did those. So I was, hitting them up to raise some money, hitting my old college professors raise some money. We were building our social presence. And then I did a data analysis. Okay. So this was all in May of 20. Like, so the whole, like, all when we launched, did a data analysis on so I looked at the 6 highest populated high income zip codes in Kansas City and compared them with the 6 highest populated low income zip codes in Kansas City, so that we would have a good sample size. And I looked at demographic data. So I did that so we would have a good sample size. We looked at demographic data, and so what I found was that so this was 2020. We were using 2017 data, so relatively recent. The 6 high income zip codes were all west of Troost, coincidentally, or close to the Northland. They were 91% white, and they had a 5% poverty rate.
5% poverty rate?
Yeah.
5%?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I know, right?
Dang.
The 6 low income zip codes were all east of Troost, coincidentally. They were 75% black, and they had a 36% poverty rate. Yeah.
36%.
Yeah. And so
compared to 5%.
Exactly, right? 75% black, 36% poverty compared to 91% white and 5% poverty. And so I thought to myself, I'm pretty good at math, but I've been known to make mistakes. And so let's go back.
Let's go back
and do this
over again. Make sure.
I got the second time I got the exact same numbers. Said, okay, third time's a charm. It's easy to replicate mistakes. And so I did it a third time, and I got the exact same numbers again. And so I looked at, so also in my research, I found Kansas City is one of 21 hyper-segregated cities. And so it's a federal designation that we got from the census because of the divide in white and black when it comes to when it comes to the population density. So we're hyper segregated in that we have a lot of white people in one area and a lot of black people in another, as well as the financial segregation,
income, resources,
exactly.
The jobs you see around,
right? And so it was just it was really jarring to see this is Kansas City's racial wealth gap. This is literally, and those zip codes, they literally were on the Troost line. So it's not just rhetoric when we're talking about Troost being the dividing line. It literally was.
It is.
Yeah.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Facts.
Right. And so all that in May, right? We reached out to the businesses. We did this data analysis. We started to build our online presence, and then we recruited a board so that June came around and we could be ready to actually go out and we started fundraising in May, so by the time June came around, we were really ready with a solid program. And you know, this was May of 2020.
Yeah, when everything got shut down.
Yeah, when everything shut down. But also, like, we launched May 5th. Maybe 2 weeks after we launched, Ahmaud Arbery got killed. And then the week after that, Breonna Taylor's story came out. And then the week after that, George Floyd was killed.
Dang.
And so, I don't know how long I've been talking right now, but this is all in May of 2020.
Just May.
Right? Like, we launched this, we did the outreach, did the data analysis. Wow, the world around us, like, all of this is happening.
What else could go wrong?
Yeah. Well, so by the time June came around, the entire world was talking about redlining and the racial wealth gap. Right as we were growing, like right as we launched this organization that was a direct response to redlining and the racial wealth gap. And so, you know, because of the circumstances, I hate to say, like, we got lucky that we launched at the time that we did. It's also, you know,
that's an interesting luck, though.
I know, right? Because these three black people had to die for the message that we were coming up with to be elevated to the way that it was. And it just so happened, some people that, you know, because of the time that we launched, so sometimes I'll go on some news media and they'll say that, you know, Gift was launched in response to George Floyd being killed.
Before that.
Right. We launched, we launched before George Floyd was killed. It was just literally right before.
What did that do for the organization as that was going on with the media and everything going on?
So it made our message.
Validated.
Exactly. And you know, fundraising is largely about what's going on at the time, right? When every winter, when temperatures drop really low, and people experiencing homelessness freeze to death, you see an increase in donations going to homeless shelters, right? So because this was a whole year of like racial wealth gap and racial reckoning, the thing that we were talking about was
the topic at a time.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about it.
Exactly.
You had a solution to it.
Right. We had a tangible action step for people to take, which that wasn't go read a book.
Yeah.
You know,
go and listen to a podcast.
Exactly. And so one of the things I did, June 2nd, 2020, it was Blackout Tuesday.
So now we're in June. Okay.
Yeah, now we're in June. But it was Blackout Tuesday. And so you remember everybody on Instagram was posting little black square.
Black square.
And so I told Cornell, I said, man, and my wife made fun of me because I was looking. I went on Instagram and I typed in Kansas City blogger. and so my goal was to find Instagram accounts that like were influencers that had large followings that posted a black square. And then I messaged them and I said, hey, you know, thank you for using your platform to like bring awareness and show support. Yeah. It's time for action. You know, we just launched Gift. Here's what we're doing. It would be great if you would share our message, let people know. Donate, do a fundraiser for us. And so we got a few accounts that had some pretty big followings to do all of those things. They shared our message, they donated, and then some of them actually ran fundraisers. And their fundraisers encouraged people to sign up to donate $10 a month because that was our message.
Wow.
And so
strategy.
Exactly. And then like from about June to August, it kind of felt like it became a cool thing to do because we were we were seeing small business. So these were all small businesses ran by white people that were trying to take some action. Yeah. And so we started seeing fundraisers happen for us, encouraging people to donate to us, to people that we hadn't even reached out to yet. And we were like 3 months old. We were like, man, it's a real thing now. Wow. And so that summer we raised $11,000. Wow. And then we gave $10,000 to Ruby Jeans in August to help them get through the pandemic. Yeah. Wow. And so overall, from May to April, we ended up raising about $443,000.
Whoa.
Yeah, and which is, in our first year to be able to
raise that.
Exactly.
Especially being, a black nonprofit in Kansas City.
Yep.
It just started in May.
Yeah. And so in that, that 12-month time frame, because we started in May, our fiscal year goes from May to April. And so we ended up at, nearly that $450,000 mark that really solidified us to be able to be be a real nonprofit going forward. Now when we started with like I said, Chris is in Houston and he never moved back to Kansas City. And so soon after we started, it became me and Cornell and so we went from a 2-person volunteer organization to now we have 7 full-time staff. Wow. Our first year we gave out $227,000, and then more year 2 and more year 3. Now we've given out $1.2 million to about 60 different businesses in Kansas City. 60 different black-owned businesses that operate East of Truth.
So where are we right now? What space are we looking at?
So this is our co-working space. Okay. So we get a lot of people that come in and do just drop-in co-working. So they might just, not really need anything else other than just to sit and work on their business. So we have about 10 cubes that people can go online and book completely for free and come and sit and work on the space. And then we have some business coaching that happens over there as well.
So question, is the Wi-Fi free? Because that's very important.
Yep, Wi-Fi is free. Hey. We got a big printer right around it.
You got a printer?
Yep.
You know what's funny? I actually need to print something. I'm gonna have to come back here later to go print.
Check it out.
Me some print out.
It's an actual.
Wow, it's a whole. It's a real printer, and it's free.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, man, I'm gonna be here with all my papers. You already know. Beautiful. Okay.
Right. And then. So this is the Jeremiah Crow room. Okay. Jeremiah Crow was he was our 3rd grant recipient ever. So he's a $10,000 grant recipient. Sweet. He recently passed away. And so he had a business called KC Maintenance and Remodel. Okay. Did really good work. And so when he passed away, it was right around the time that we moved in to this space. And so we were searching for a name for it, and it just made sense to dedicate it to Jeremiah.
All right, so where are we at now?
Yeah, so we are in our professional offices back here. We have a lot of professional services that happen, as well as a lot of staff offices. Okay. So this office right here, specifically, we have a few of our partners. We do some financial literacy, personal finance, some legal services and stuff like that. Okay. And then BMG advisors. And so they're partners of ours. Another one of the benefits of the business center is that
bank in here.
Yep. So we have Lead Bank. Wow. They're here Monday and Tuesday every week, and they open up bank accounts. They talk to people about their business financials, as well as you can start the process to actually apply for a loan here. So when we opened up the business center, we wanted to actually bring a bank on site to kind of bring banking closer to the community that we're trying to serve.
Yes.
So this is our media studio. Okay. It was funded by Evergy. So Evergy gave us $15,000 to spruce the studio up. And so you see Cornell Gorman right here. Cornell is a COO and co-founder of Kansas City Gift.
How you doing, boss? Man.
Chilling, man.
This is a dope studio. The sound quality is just phenomenal. I can hear the bass in it.
Yeah. So in here we do product photos, product videos, headshots, podcasts. Okay. And
it's all free?
All free.
Free.
Yep. So further down we have a few more staff offices. This right here is my office.
Yes. This is magnificent. It's inspirational. Tell me about this wall. I really want to know.
Yeah. So me, Karis, and Cornell, we all three of us, we have a collage of people that inspire us, and so when I picked my group, it was all just like people from various different industries that motivate me to do what I do. So I got
man, thank you so much for having this space, and you already know we are at Gift on Prospect. Pull up, resources are free. Pull up here, get your co-working space, get that free Wi-Fi, and most importantly, get you some free candy. You know what I mean? Man, thank you so much again, bro.
Hey, man, thanks for coming through.
Thank you for all you do. Honestly, I am so proud and I'm so grateful that you are in Kansas City. Like I say, each time I drive by, I am so happy that we have this on Prospect. So thank you again. Let people understand what it means to be a Black nonprofit that gave $1.2 million. Because in Kansas City, like let people understand the value of that, like what that really means.
Yeah. So one thing that happened very early on, earlier you asked me about like where does the confidence come from to be like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that, right? And I had that same the same stuff that it took me that reaching out to somebody at Avila and saying, hey, I need you to sit down and meet with me and help me get a job in nonprofit. That's the same intent. I reached out to these random people on Instagram, was like, hey, I need you to raise money for us.
Knowing that. Wow. Yeah.
At the same time, I reached out to the editor of the Business Journal and the editor of the Kansas City Star and said, hey, so I sent them messages on LinkedIn. Said, hey, you don't know me. This was in June of 2020. You don't know me, but we've launched this thing called Gift. I think you guys should do a story on it. And they did.
Wow.
And so I'm pretty confident. I take shots. I'm not afraid of being told no. One thing that when we launched this, especially the bigger we grew, the bigger rooms that I got in, the more and more people I started talking to, especially when I started talking to corporations. I would start talking to corporations, and very often I was met with the assumption of incompetence. They were like, oh, well, you guys, somebody told me, oh, you guys should really, make sure you track your outcomes and make sure you get your books in order. I'm like, why? So back up to May again. Yeah. One of my very first board members was an accountant. I did not know her. I searched for accountants on LinkedIn. I sent a bunch of them random messages and said, hey, we're doing this thing. I think you'd be a great fit for our board. One of them got back to me, and she is now on our board, and she does our books. I did that before we took in $1.
$1, yes.
So that we could have our books clean from the beginning. Yeah. And so to go into a conversation and have somebody say, oh, you got, make sure you guys get your books together. Like, why would I not have my books together? Like, it was very top of mind for me before we even took in a penny. Why would I not be when we built our program, I thought about outcomes at the beginning. Before, and so what metrics are we going to track? And so being a young Black-led, so just young person running a Black-led nonprofit, I got met with the assumption of incompetence much more often than I was prepared for. I got used to it eventually, and figured out ways to navigate that. It happens a little bit less now because of the scale that we've gotten to, despite the assumption of incompetence. And so to be able to persevere you're able to launch this from scratch without, we didn't start with the connections. I didn't have a huge connection with Kaufman or any other of the big foundations. I mean, my United Way connections were corporate, but I was still at United Way, and so there was some conflict of interest, and so the connections that I had there I couldn't use. And so when we launched, we literally had to build this from scratch, and so to be able to launch it from scratch, grow it despite the assumption of incompetence, and be able to, one of the big things I said to my board was, I don't want to spend a year fundraising and then like telling people, oh, we're going to give out grants, and never do it, and we haven't been doing it, and, which is why we gave out that grant really early on to Ruby Jean.
We're actually doing what we said we're going to do.
Exactly. And so to be an organization operating with high integrity, executing on our word, and still being able to grow and have the level of impact. I mean, with the $1.2 million that we've given out, we're like our last big evaluation was at 600,000, and we had created 62 jobs, and so at 1.2, we're expecting to see at least 100 jobs created overall. So it's a it's an amazing thing, of again trying to grow the community to the level that I know it can grow to. Being able to give 1.2 has been it's been surreal.
I want to ask you. I want us to go back a bit more. We're coming towards the end of the show, but I want us to go back a bit more towards going into those rooms where they look at you sideways.
Yeah.
Right. How, for our viewers watching who might be in the same shoes or about to enter the same shoes of being a black person, going to rooms where they look at you as being not worthy of being there, being incompetent of what you're doing, not even knowing you, but having pre-assumed assumption of what they see of who you are. How are we able to navigate those and show them what you really are about, and be able to succeed?
Yeah. So one, I mean, I know who I am, right? And so I go into those rooms. And I am myself. Some people might say that I'm a little stubborn. And so
helps to be an entrepreneur. You need that.
Yeah. I make it clear that I make it clear to them that if we are talking, I am there for a partnership, and I will not accept anything less than an equal partnership. Right? This will not be a situation where we are begging, we're begging and pleading. Where I'm begging and pleading for things, and you're giving me crumbs, and I'm supposed to be happy with that. This won't be that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And that we also, I mean, one thing that's not lost on me is that because we raise our money primarily the way that we do, in $10 monthly donors, we have a lot of leverage. I would never walk into a room and tell people, we don't need your money, right? We want everybody's money.
But we stand.
But we do have a certain baseline of support that allows us to not have to bend to appease people. And so going in these rooms, understanding, knowing who you are, and continuing to stand on it. And then it's not about like the assumption of incompetence is very annoying. But ultimately their opinions of me is like that's on them. And so
you know what you stand for.
Exactly.
Why you're there.
Exactly. So not letting it deter or derail me, because there are I'm not questioning my own value, and there are many other rooms where my value is seen.
If it's not in that one, it's going to be the next one.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this. I got probably 2 more questions before we go. What has been the city support for your organization? Because
when you say city support, what you talking about?
Like funding wise, is there like funding for when it comes to raising funds or like backing from the city in terms of that?
So when you say city, you mean the people of Kansas City, or you talking about the actual
the actual government? Because I'm an advocate for entrepreneurs in the city, and I've talked with numerous entrepreneurs, and most of them are leaving the city just because they don't feel like the Kansas City itself makes leeway for them to be able to be here. Doesn't give them what they need to be here.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Kansas City does a very horrible job of supporting their entrepreneurs. I've met with the mayor and have said that.
Speak on that.
Right. So like the Kansas City does a horrible job of supporting their entrepreneurs. They directly answering your question, what support have we gotten from the city? We recently got the Kansas City. You familiar with Rebuild? The whole Rebuild thing that they did, where they put out this RFP for like the American Rescue Plan dollars.
I don't think so.
It was last year, and so they had a whole bunch of like neighborhoods and businesses and nonprofits and all of that apply for these Rebuild dollars, and so we were one of the organizations that got chosen for Rebuild dollars. But as we look deeper into it, because they're American Rescue Plan dollars, they're really federal dollars and not considered city dollars.
City dollars,
right? And
was it part of the Biden relief?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
which is a whole thing too,
right?
That when it comes to entrepreneurs.
So, but when it comes to money that we've gotten directly from the city, we've gotten. So I want to say nothing, but the truth is that we've gotten $500.
Oh wow, that's a lot coming from them. So
one of the city
something.
One of the city council people had some money left over.
Jesus Christ.
At the end, so apparently every city council person has a certain amount of dollars that they can give to nonprofits. City council person in our district has some money left over at the end of their fiscal year, so they directed those $500 to come to gift.
What should they be doing better though?
So what? We launched in 2020. Okay. So from May of 2020, April 2021, that was our first year. We raised up, $450,000. Yes. We gave out $229,000, and we created 22 new jobs that year. The city saw our annual report. They brought us in and they gave us like an award, saying, "Hey, great job, gift."
Great job, yeah, but.
And then then the summer of 2022 rolls around. Great numbers again. The city held this like 816-day thing where they nominated a bunch of nonprofits and gave them awards, and they called us in and they gave us an award. And the first time I got to speak and accept the award. The second time they just gave the award. And I told my staff, I said, if they give me one more award without giving, they better not let me speak. Because the next time the city tries to give us an award, I will gladly go and accept it and tell them what I feel. You gotta stop. Like, you can't. And it's not just us, right? You can't. And the city is bad at this when it like the nonprofit industry as well as the small business industry. Like the city needs nonprofits to do well, to do great work, because it improves the city overall. True. The city needs small businesses to do well, to grow, because it is a huge driver of local economies.
Providing more jobs.
And so the city of Kansas City what they currently do is they sit back and they wait for people to do good and they say, yeah, we
with you.
We support you. Exactly. We support you. Without actually any
supporting you.
Exactly. And so our city does a very bad job at that.
Listening, give us the money.
Yeah. Funny that we spent all this time talking about. We spent a lot of time talking about my journey. I never intended to end up in nonprofit, right? I intended to end up as governor. That was my goal. That was my goal.
Wow.
Yeah. And so even when I was at Avila, I majored in exercise physiology. I minored in law, and my plan was to go to law school and then become a prosecutor, and and then run for office, and the governorship was my ultimate goal. I was an undergrad intern at the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office for a little while.
Okay.
And so I ultimately didn't do that because the impact that I wanted to make on the community, I felt like that wasn't really the way to go. And every now and then I get really frustrated by our politics, by our local politicians, and sometimes I get excited and say I'm glad I didn't go into politics, and then sometimes I get frustrated and say, man, I need to get into
politics. Yeah, it's tougher.
Yeah,
it's really Politics is a lot.
But it is absolutely possible for our city to do a better job.
Yes, definitely.
They talk about crime a lot. They talk about it's been. I think our biggest political issue is violence and violence prevention, and going back to our data, 91% white, 5% black, or 5% poverty rate, 75% black with a 36% poverty rate. That also happens to be the area that crime is highest in. When people don't have stuff, they go get it.
It's red-minded right there.
Exactly. And so by supporting the nonprofits that are actually making change in those areas, you support the root causes of violence. By supporting small businesses that can grow and expand in those areas that can create. I mean, one of the council people talked about downtown is our economic engine. We need to invest in it. Well, create an economic engine for the East Side to grow the East Side economy so that we decrease poverty-related crime. That's gun violence. I'm not running, and it sounds like I am. but it's frustrating. It is the truth of it, and because it's simple. It's so simple.
We live in it, and we know we see it every single day. It can be changed,
right?
Yeah. So I mean, because I'm like, I always say this as a business owner, like the first person you will hire is someone you know,
right?
And that's how it trickles out. Like you always ask who you know next, before you start looking outside.
When we grew at Gift and we started hiring, our first 2 employees were our co-founders, and then when we brought on our third employee, was Karis Harrington.
Yes.
Right. And that wasn't. We didn't put out a public. Job. It was like, okay, we have this really and this was our third employee. This was going to be whoever had this job was going to be a really big responsibility, and so it was okay. We need this to be somebody that we know, somebody that we trust, somebody we know that can do this job.
Yeah.
And so I called Karis personally myself and said, hey, I need you to leave your job and come work for us, and we're gonna pay you a little bit less. We're gonna pay you a lot less, but please do it anyway. That's investing in small businesses, and even people don't think of nonprofits as small business, but if you are a nonprofit that is effective, you are running that like a business, and so the growth of nonprofits also creates jobs. Because we need people running the programs, raising the money, and all of that too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just facts that we see it every day. We know that this can be solved if only the least amount of action can be done. Right.
Yeah.
Now, my next question before the last one is, what is the importance of having gift on prospect? What is the value of that?
Yeah. So when we launched in 2020, we moved into our business center on Prospect in April of 22.
Okay.
Right. And so we always knew that we wanted to be somewhere east of Troost. When we got a actual location.
Exactly. Because you can't be outside throwing things in.
Exactly.
You have to be where
exactly. And so when we did that, we were looking at, do we open up on Troost? There's a whole bunch of development happening on Troost, and is a good argument for us to be there.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to make sure we were in a place that was accessible, so just easy to get to, and that had the potential to be a catalyst for some redevelopment. And so you can argue that Troost is, especially some segments of Troost, are being gentrified.
Yep. It's going up every single day.
Right. And so there wasn't a huge. It felt like too much of an easy thing to do. To go to Troost. And so being deeper into the east side, deeper into the urban core was important to us. Me, Karis, and Cornell all said that we feel like after the Troost wave, the next street, Prospect is going to be the next street. And so, being able to get over there on Prospect, where we are on 50th, it's a max bus line. So the bus runs like every 15 minutes there. We're right off of 47th, and so Martin Luther King Boulevard now. And so not only do we have the Prospect bus, but we have the 47th Street bus. We are right off of the highway, so we're right off of 71 highway. And so as far as accessibility, we're
right there.
Yeah, highly accessible. We have a bus stop literally right outside of our
I've been
right outside our front door.
Right, yep. Yeah. Right out there. Yep.
And then when it comes to the entrepreneurs that we're trying to serve, our business center is open to everybody, right? And so our grant program serves Black businesses on the east side of Kansas City.
Okay.
Our business center, if you're a white business owner from Leawood and you want to drive over to Prospect, feel free. Like we our business center is literally open for everybody.
Everyone, okay. Yeah.
But we knew that the primary, one of the reasons we opened the business center is because we don't have enough money. Like, we can't give out grants to all of the businesses that come to us. And so we can extend our technical assistance,
the resources
exactly, and help businesses grow through that. And so so that was the whole idea and reasoning for the business center. And so we needed to make sure that we were in the area and in the proximity of the businesses that we were trying to serve. And so being over on Prospect helped us do that, and helped us make sure that we reach an area of the population that other business incubators are not able to reach.
Exactly.
They're not coming over to Prospect. Exactly. Exactly. And so it's important because it gives the entrepreneurs east of Troost and the residents east of Troost who are even thinking about dipping their toes into the entrepreneurial pool, now have a resource center that they can come in and sit down with a business coach and talk about their business plan and talk about their ideas and a potential launch, and actually have a group of people help them work through that. Exactly. And so providing access that historically has not been that especially that far into the east side was important.
Yeah, I mean, because I drive by on the highway and I always see that, but each time I go by, I have to always look and say, still there.
Yes. Oh yeah, man, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We have today is 1 year. We opened April 1st. We opened for services April 1st of 22.
Wow.
And so this is we now have 1 year.
Wow.
And so we've had over 1,600 appointments booked in this 1 year time frame.
Wow.
So
wow.
So yeah, it has very high utilization. And I think I would say that high utilization comes from the same idea of that. If there's a food desert and you put a grocery store there and then people start to flock to it, it just shows that there was a huge gap that needed to be filled. And so by us putting this business center here and having this high utilization and people are flocking to it, there was a clear gap that needed to be filled, and we're there filling it.
Right. Like I said, each time I see it, I know, especially with people who live in that area, all you have there is gas station, fast food joints. I don't want to name the fast food joints. Talking about. Yeah. But having that for business owners, who are starting out, they don't have the resources to go downtown or go to the west side of Troops. They have there locally. Get on the bus, 15 minutes, you're there. It's very important. So I appreciate that, and when I see that, it gives me joy that we are going somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
But my last question to you is this: what is one piece of advice that either you've gotten or from your experience being a entrepreneur, just from your pleasure of experience from a trainer to going to the army to now having a nonprofit? Like, what is an advice you give someone out there who is trying to make something for themselves or for their community?
Yeah. One piece of advice. I'm
one or two.
Yeah, I know, right? So one, you really have to be you got to be the one willing to make it happen. One piece of advice that I got is relevant to this is that as an entrepreneur, one of the first things you have to understand is that nobody cares, right? No matter whatever you're doing, the thing that you were so passionate about, whether it be for profit, whether it be nonprofit, whether it, nobody cares, right? If you launch something and you are unsuccessful, most people's lives aren't changed. No. It doesn't matter to them. And so, if you're expecting, massive levels of support, you have to be the one that's out there that's driving it, even when you don't feel like driving. You got to be the one that makes it happen. And if you don't have to do it alone, you should not. You should not. We talked about this is not the first thing that I launched, right? I launched personal training businesses before, and I've been able to sell and all of that, sell training and have clients and all that and be successful. But one of the biggest differences now is that I get a whole lot of credit for what we did at Gift, and I put a lot of work into it. But so did Cornell.
Exactly.
Right? The level that we got to would not have been able to reach this level without me doing what I do and without Cornell doing what he does. Yes. Had we not had both of us doing this, would we have still maybe been successful? Probably. Would we have reached the level that we reached? Absolutely not. Not even a probably. There's no way we would have reached this level. And so going into this with going into business with a partner, and being able to it helps to share that burden because it's a big burden. And so it helps to share that burden with somebody. And when you're not on your best day, you got somebody there to help you pick up your slack.
Nights.
Exactly. Because nobody's gonna understand what you're going through. Most people won't understand what you're going through. Especially when you hit success. When you hit success, there's a whole nother level of problems that happen that are kind of unimaginable to people. And then there's this thing of like, man, what is you complaining about?
I haven't even what are you talking about?
Like be happy that you got this. And so having, and no matter how many people you have close to you, your parents, your family, your spouses, like they won't understand.
Exactly.
And so having a partner there that one helps you grow the business, but also is helping you to develop yourself and develop your skills. Is important.
Man, that's valuable advice. Advocate for yourself. Get someone on your team who believes and is ready to be there with you.
Yeah.
Through the highs and the lows, and always share the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you so much, buddy, for being on the show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for coming. This has been, I always say every show is a masterclass. This has been, thorough going into the nonprofit, going into the, truths, going into your story. Thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing with us and letting people know, what's really going on and how the process has been. So thank you for being on the show here.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for all you do. And for those who are watching from home, thank you for tuning in today. It's been another show, City Entrepreneur episode. I'm your host, Zeke Wanga. You know what to do. Subscribe, let people know, share this, spread the word. We in KC making it happen. And hey, as I always say, stay fired up, don't give up. And I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye for now.
To see how our city's entrepreneurs do what they do, tune in to City Entrepreneur on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Episodes drop every Thursday.